Hi everyone, so welcome back to my channel. So this video is going to be about my travel tips to Paris. I know that we cannot really travel these days, or at least not the way that we used to before, but these are really general tips. So if the time that we can travel again ever comes, then hopefully you will find this video useful. And yeah, until then, just write down some of the things that I mentioned in this video. Hopefully you will find it helpful. So before we start, just please make sure to subscribe to this channel and like this video if you feel like it. I really appreciate it. Let's see my tips. Different people have different ideas about when is the best time to travel to Paris. I personally think that the best time to go to Paris is around the end of spring, beginning of summer, so around April, May and June, or around the autumn months, so September, October, up until the end of November, I would say. I think that these are the months when the weather is mild and really enjoyable in Paris. It's not too cold, it's not too hot, and also the scenery is absolutely beautiful during these months, either the cherry blossoms or the leaves changing color. So there really is nothing like autumn in Paris, in my opinion. I think it's just really special. Spring is beautiful as well. In my opinion, these are the best times to go to Paris. So my next tip would be to get insured. I kind of feel silly for even mentioning this, but I wouldn't even go traveling anywhere these days without having an insurance. Now, if you're European, you probably have the European health card. You get the same level of state-provided medical care as someone who lives in the country. That being said, I would still get insured because still non-medical related accidents can happen anytime. So I think it's just better to get ahead of things and to get insured before you go to Paris. So the next thing that we should ask is where to stay. For the past 5 years, every time that I visited Paris, I stayed in an Airbnb instead of a hotel room. I just feel like Airbnbs are so much more comfortable and spacious, let alone the fact that not only you get more space with an Airbnb, but it's usually also cheaper. I would definitely recommend you to stay in an Airbnb if you ever go to Paris. Also because with Airbnbs, you kind of get to experience the whole la vie parisienne. So the next thing that we should talk about is public transportation in Paris. 100% the best way to move around Paris is with public transportation. You really don't need a car in Paris. Public transportation is so great and so expensive. There are overall 16 metro lines in Paris that will take you anywhere you want to go within the city and its suburbs way faster than a car would. Also, FYI, the single journey ticket is 1.9 euros and these like 10 ticket carnet thingies are 14.5 euros, I think, if I remember correctly. But just make sure that you don't throw them out after entering the gate, because you will need it when you leave the metro station. If it is not for the metros, we have the trams, we have buses, so you really don't need a car in Paris. But if for whatever reason you decide that you need a car, I would highly recommend you to use Uber instead of taking a taxi, because Ubers tend to be a lot cheaper than taxis. Also, when you're coming from the airport, I highly recommend you to use the public transportation because it's going to be so much cheaper / faster. So if you're coming from Charles de Gaulle, then you can take the RATP, I think, and it takes you about 40-50 minutes to get into the city center. Now, if you're coming from Orly Airport, then I would suggest you to take the Orly buses. Both of these cost 10 euros respectively. If you wanna act like a real Parisian, then I would highly suggest you to download the RATP application. It gives you live updates and it also helps you to plan your trips. So still on the topic of getting around Paris, my next tip would be to walk. walk and walk. I feel like the best way to explore Paris is by walking. Paris is a really walkable city and you really do see something interesting on every single corner. Of course, I'm not telling you to walk everywhere, although why not? Actually, one of the things that I really like to do whenever someone comes to visit me is that I like to target a really specific touristy neighborhood, and usually we just take the metro there and then we just like walk around to all of the different monuments and touristy stuffs and museums. For example, you can just take the metro to the Louvre, go to see the museum, then go on and take a walk at Jardin des Tuileries, then go to do some shopping at Champs-Élysées until you get to the Arc de Triomphe. Long story short, walk as much as you can. That's the best way to explore Paris, in my opinion. So my next tip is to take your student ID if you have one, or for example one of your kids is a student, then it's a really good idea to take your student ID. Perks of being a student in Paris: you get a lot of discounts. There are museums that you can enter for free, and you also get a discount at the cinema. Actually, at some bars you can get alcohol cheaper if you have your student ID with you. But actually it is the same if you're European. If you have your ID, you can enter a lot of museums for free. Only if you're under 26 though, but still you can save a lot of money like this. So also one more tip, just make sure that you check the opening hours for the museums, because sometimes monuments and museums have really weird opening hours. For example, the Louvre is closed on Tuesdays and the Musée d'Orsay is closed on Mondays, I think. Okay, so my next tip is related to dining in Paris. You don't need to tip in Paris. Tipping in Paris is not necessary. The service fee is already included in the bill. Of course, it is considered nice to leave a tip, and of course, if the service was particularly nice, then you can tip for sure, why not? But you're not obligated to tip, so you can, but you don't have to, so it's up to you. My next tip is a really important one, and don't be one of those tourists who overlook this. Make an effort with French, even regardless of this whole idea about French people that they don't like to speak English. I just feel like it should be considered normal that you make an effort with the language of the country you're visiting. If you're already in France and you're going there to experience the culture, then I just feel like it should be considered normal that you make an effort with the language. It's a nice gesture to learn the absolute basics, such as bonjour, merci, pardon, s'il vous plaît, monsieur, madame. I don't think that it's too much to ask. You will definitely see a difference in the way they treat you if they can see that you're really trying to make an effort, even if it's with horrible accent. It's the thought and it's the effort that counts. So please make an effort with French. Please don't be a douchebag. Please just try to show some interest at least. Effort is nice. So my next tip is don't try to go shopping on Sundays. I have mentioned this a couple of times before in my videos, but actually a lot of stores, especially grocery stores, are closed on Sundays. I think that these days in typically touristy areas, there might be some shops that are open even on Sundays for limited hours, but still you really don't want to do all of your shopping on Sunday. So just please make sure that you remember this, and also always check the opening hours to the shops and stores that you want to go to, because as I just said, stores can have really unusual opening hours in Paris. And last but not least, my very last tip is a safety tip. I'm sure that you have heard these before, but there are quite a lot of scammers and pickpockets lurking around Paris. They can appear in the form of people asking you to sign a petition, or also people trying to sell you bracelets by tying them on your hand. Please make sure that you take care of your belongings, especially in really crowded, typical touristy areas. Every time that I take the metro in Paris, I actually always put my bag right in front of me, and I'm always just kind of like holding onto it so that I have full visibility on my bag and like on my belongings. Please don't let it be something that worries you. You just have to watch out, and you just have to kind of stay on your guard and be smart, and you will be fine. I never got anything stolen in Paris in all this time, so you will be fine as well. Just please make sure that you take care and you're being smart, and yeah, you will be fine. So I think that this is the end of this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I really hope that you found it helpful. I hope that you will enjoy your trip to Paris when this is all over. Also, just again, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and like this video if you enjoyed it. And yeah, I will see you soon. Bye!